We are living in coronavirus times. So, if you just got engaged, if you're in the process of postponing your wedding or you're postponing your wedding, or your wedding was scheduled, say, for later this year or early next year, you're now left wondering, how do I plan my wedding virtually? Because we're all at home and social distancing is really important, not just now, but probably for the foreseeable future. And with all of that, how does this all work? Today, I'm going to be walking you through how to plan your wedding virtually with 5 tried and true tips from my personal experience. Hi there, I'm Jamie Chang, your destination wedding planning guru and designer of joy at Mango Muse Events and the creator of Passport to Joy, the step-by-step online wedding planning course for couples. And I share real and honest and useful wedding planning tips, tricks, and advice you can use right now, today, to help make wedding planning easier and more joyful so you can create a wedding you love. Because let's face it, wedding planning isn't always easy. It isn't always fun, especially now. Things are super stressful and nobody wants that. So we're bringing the joy back to wedding planning. Are you ready? Let's do this. So depending on your situation, whether that's you're in the process of postponing or you've already postponed or your wedding's planned for, say, later this year or next, or perhaps you're newly engaged and you've just started planning and working through your foundation from our last video, and you're now left wondering, what comes next? How do I do this? How do I plan my wedding virtually from home? And how do I make decisions when I can't see things in person, touch things in person, or just do anything in person? And it's a good question because this is really, strange waters for a lot of people. And no matter kind of where you are in your planning, doesn't matter what your situation is, this is all sort of new and uncharted. But it's actually not that new and uncharted for me. It's not that strange for me. My company, Mango Muse Events, we specialize in destination weddings. And with destination weddings, while you always want to go to the destination in order to check things out, meet people, see things, it's not always possible. For the couple, sometimes it's for financial reasons or scheduling issues. And even for me, there's been instances in the past where the engagement was really short and the wedding was just taking place, in a couple of months, and heading out was just not possible. Total true story, by the way. So in these cases, you're really planning the entire wedding virtually. And so I am intimately familiar with virtual planning. And so what I want to do today is sort of walk you through 5 tips from my experiences in planning virtually and how you can use that now as you're planning virtually in these coronavirus times. Now, before we dive into these tips, I really want to share sort of 2 things on the front end so that you're just fully aware before we sort of dive into all these helpful tips you can use. So the first is I want you to know that despite the fact that we're all at home and social distancing is really important, it's also important to know that, venues and vendors are all still sort of open and available and here for you. And, things will just be a little different because everybody is remote, but they're all still here to support you, including me. So that's the first thing. The second is that whether you may or may not know this, a lot of wedding planning is actually done virtually via email or by phone. And so obviously this doesn't cover everything. Not obviously everything is done virtually, but a lot of it actually is. So the shift to doing everything virtually is actually not that big a shift. And it's not as bad as it seems. So I'll be walking you through, these tips, which will just help make that transition easier and help you through it. Okay, so let's dive in, shall we? Tip number 1. Are you ready? You want to use your resources to the best of your ability and their ability. So here's what I mean. Right now, right, we are all using video in all kinds of ways, right? Whether that's virtual happy hours or, dance parties, family chats, or even things like game nights, which I'm doing with my family. It's super fun, by the way. But video is going to be basically one of your best friends when it comes to planning your wedding virtually. We're not just talking about live video, which obviously is very helpful for tons of reasons, but also pre-recorded video helps too. It can help you see venues. It can help you look at options from everything from flowers to food. It can help you, interview vendors. It can help you to discuss ideas and look at photo albums. I mean, so many things that video can help you with, and you can do a lot with it, and it can help a ton. You have no idea. Video is really a powerful tool that you'll be using a lot as you plan virtually. In addition to that, photos. Now, photos have always been important in wedding planning, but they'll become, even more so as you're planning virtually. You use it to share ideas or give examples or see past work. There's so many ways where photos can help you too. And then let's not forget one of your most underutilized assets, as I've said in some previous videos, your vendors themselves. They are a huge, huge resource because they're pros. They know what they're doing. They're specialized in an area, and talking to them and getting their thoughts and their recommendations can really help you a ton as you're, say, working through a menu or picking a first dance song or working on your invitations. Like there's sort of an endless list we could go through here, but they can really help you plan your wedding as well when you utilize them for their knowledge and their expertise. Okay, so that's tip number one. Tip number two is there are really, it can seem not the case because once again, you're doing everything virtually and the idea of not being able to do things in person can be a little freaky, but there are really solutions to everything. There really are. We just talked about this, but like the hardest part about doing this virtually is making decisions when you can't fully experience something in person. And I totally get that. But, there are ways around that. And there are some things that are very sensory that maybe video and photo just, won't cut it. But there are ways, around it. And some of the things that you'll be thinking about are good things to think about as you're thinking about sensory things are things like tastings or hair and makeup trials or trying on dresses or things like picking invitations. But the thing to know is that there are always solutions. There are always solutions to things. And it's really just about coming up with those solutions with your vendors and figuring it out together and seeing what will work. So maybe that's, doing a drop-off or pickup tasting and some live video. Maybe it's buying dresses from an online retailer and talking to a virtual stylist. Maybe it's mailing stationery examples for you to check out and touch and feel before you make a decision. Maybe it's relying on your wedding planner to help you see or do things or recommend the best options for you. Maybe it's postponing the meeting until you can meet, until it is safe, which leads me to tip number 3, which is it's totally okay to postpone a meeting. Look, if you can't do something right now and you have to do it in person because there's no other way around it, it's okay to hold off. Maybe you don't live in the area that your wedding is taking place. Or maybe you aren't able to come up with a good solution with your vendor. You can postpone that tasting, that trial, that meeting to a later date. Now, this might not work for everything. Like, for example, trying on dresses or outfits or stationery because they both require some lead time. But it can work for many things. And that's kind of the great thing about it, right? What you do now is you'd move forward in the best way possible that you can. And so you're going to have lengthy conversations with your vendors and using your resources to the best of your abilities to share ideas and come up with, the best menu, the best style, the best design. And then you do your meeting when you can. And hopefully that can be, at least a month before your wedding. But even if it can't, you can also plan to do these at least a few days before your wedding. And it will work, I promise you. You can make some tweaks. I've done this in the past, and it's totally possible. So keep that in mind as you're going through this. But there's something really important about this, about postponing. And it's really all of this actually, I should say everything, not just postponing. Everything sort of relies on this. And that leads me to sort of the next tip, which is tip number 4, which is communication. Communication is super duper duper important. It's important whether you're planning a wedding, virtually or not, but it's especially important when you're planning one virtually because you're using all of these conversations to help guide you, right? And to help you make that decision. And your vendors just can't help you without good communication. You need to be clear on your end so they understand, and they need to be clear so that you understand, and it goes both ways. So once again, utilizing your resources to the best of their ability, your ability, will help you to communicate well and share, whether that's through video or photos or phone calls, right? And you go back and forth until you feel good, until you get it, until things are understood and you can feel confident in your decision. And you can feel confident in your decision and you can make one, I promise you. But once again, it's important to just be overly communicative and clear in that communication. Once again, I work in destination weddings. I do a lot of destination weddings, and not everything can be done in person. And so this is how you can sort of alleviate that when you're not there, when you can't meet. You rely on that really good communication to make your decisions, which you can, and move forward, which you will. Okay, so let's move on to our last tip, which is tip number 5, which is get help. Now more than ever, maybe, having someone to help guide you through this process and the ever-changing situation is really, it's priceless. Having someone who can do things for you during these social distancing times is super helpful. Having someone you can rely on to help you to make a decision that's a good fit for you is so comforting. And having a wedding planner, is always a good idea. It's always helpful. But having one, especially now, given everything going on, given the changing situation, given planning virtually, is even more helpful, even more important. And so whether you're just starting out or you're in the middle of planning or, you're working through postponing or whatever your case may be, it's never a bad time to hire a planner, and it's never too late. So if you can hire a full-time planner, please do it. It will help you tremendously. But I understand if you can't. It's not in everyone's budget. So if you can't, I really strongly advise you to check out Passport to Joy, my online wedding planning course for couples, because seriously, it will help guide you through the entire process from start to finish. And it's the best time right now because we are doing a giveaway. If you didn't know, we're doing a giveaway, a little ray of sunshine, as I like to call it. A wedding stimulus package of sorts. We are giving away 3 free wedding planning memberships to Passport to Joy to 3 very lucky couples. And I really hope you're one of those lucky couples. You have a few more days to enter, so make sure you do so. You can find the links below. You're going to check out all that info and sign up because you could win, which would be so exciting, right? All right, so I want to wrap up today's video with a question. And here's the question. What would winning a Passport to Joy membership do for you? What would it do for your life? Let me know in a comment below. And if you enjoyed today's video, please like it. Give us some thumbs up. We love those. You can check out our other wedding planning videos for even more tips, and make sure you hit subscribe to get all the new ones. And if you're looking for help through the entire wedding planning process, check out Passport to Joy, my online course. And you can enter to win a free membership. So make sure you do that as well, because you deserve to enjoy your engagement, even in the middle of a pandemic. Thanks so much for being here. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye.